Hello, this is Dexter. Welcome to the show with Coach Canada.
That's the one, Mommy.
Hey, it's Coach Canada. Thank you so much for jumping on and watching this first episode of the show. It is definitely raw and a first go around recording with somebody else and then also editing the video myself. I might need some help with that. And so I will be reaching out for some friends. I also wanted to just let you know I'm not a doctor and I'm also not affiliated with Trim Healthy Mama. So everything we talk about on here is like our personal experiences and things that I have learned about my own body. So please, if you have something going on or you have any concerns, then you should consult your own physician or a naturopath. And then also, I think that's it. Let's get started. Okay, we started. It says live, but it's not actually live. It is just recording. So okay. I haven't hooked it up to anything yet. But first of all, thank you so much for being here. I know when I asked you to come, I said that I wanted some real life questions. But truth be told, also going live like on Facebook and things is really challenging when there's not some like you don't really have a face to look at, and there's not somebody like nodding and saying, oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. I understand what you're talking about. And so it's really like in my mind, I was like, okay, well, if I record this, if I record this, these tips and all, I'm going to still feel the same way as if I was recording a live video. And so thank you so much for jumping on here with me. It's going to help me a lot. And my prayer is that it's going to help you too. And then your questions are going to help somebody else. So that is going to be awesome. All right. So I am going to jump right in. Okay. So I do have 3 tips that I wanted to make sure that I covered because so I'm talking about e-fuels today. That just seems to be something that people are struggling with, like not even just getting the emails in. I'm starting to see that there are people who are struggling with what emails even really are and like what fuels are allowed in emails. And so I just wanted to cover that today, just a couple of basics. So I brought 3 tips, and if that gets a little bit further along, or if I need to make a note to add something else, I will. But one of the first things was how many carbs are okay in an email, right? So in an email, you want to shoot for about 45 grams of net carbs. And so a lot of times the question that comes up is, how do you even calculate net carbs? And so when you are looking at a label, if you're looking at a label, how you calculate net carbs is you take your total carbs and you subtract dietary fiber. And if there are any sugar alcohols, you subtract the sugar alcohols, and the number that's left over, that's your net carbs. So 45 grams of net carbs in any meal. Of course, you want to anchor that meal in protein. And then one of the other things, which is also my other tip, is to make sure that you have 5 grams of fat. So a teaspoon of fat. That is kind of critical in an meal to stay satisfied, for one, and also to help your body absorb those carbs. So then going back to how many carbs, it's so nice how all of these things tie into each other, because one of the other tips is what are safe carbs. And so that kind of plays with how many carbs, because the tip is to stick to one carb source. And if you want to have multiple different sources of carbs, you want to pull both of those sources back. One of the things that I see a lot in the groups is somebody will post a picture where they had a sandwich that had 2 slices of bread and a whole apple. Like those things together, it's too many carbs. I mean, you can do that every once in a while, but that's too many carbs. And so what are good carbs? Let me grab a little handy dandy book. Yeah, jump in here.
That being said, when you don't have like a physical label, like it's an apple or maybe a sweet potato, how do you measure that? Can you use the THM app or?
So you can use the THM app. So usually the goal, like, and if I'm wrong, somebody please feel free to correct me, but usually it is one fruit, like one apple or one small or medium banana. You can do a large banana, but one banana or one large peach. That's how it goes with those types of fruits. And then if you have like chopped up fruit, you want to stick to 1 cup or less. And then of course with berries, it's a little bit different for berries. Blueberries, 1/2 cup. Regular berries, you can go up to 1 cup before you hit E mode. So it's fuel pull. Regular berries are a fuel pull up to 1 cup, but blueberries are a fuel pull up to 1/2 cup. And then once you get over that, you're in E mode. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but one thing I will say, there was a Poddy about watermelon saying that actually watermelon is so fantastic. You can actually, tip into a little bit over 1 cup of watermelon. So, and another thing that I'll do if I'm not sure how many, because I do like to mix my carb sources. Like I do like to have like a 1/2 sandwich and an apple, or a 1/2 sandwich and some berries or something like that. So I will just go and I'll Google how many carbs in an apple. And then it'll show you, and you can kind of scroll to change it to a small apple or a large apple, and it'll show you like the size. It just depends on how deep you want to get into that. But sometimes when you do that, you'll see that a lot of fruits they don't have as much sugar as you were expecting. I had a nectarine the other day, and it was only like 15 grams of carbs for a whole medium nectarine. Nectarine? Yeah. But I was like, okay, that's great. And then that's also going to have fiber that's not there as well. So,
well, another question I have is because my situation. So I have, for other people who don't know, I have cancer, and so we're treating it naturally, and my naturopath is having me eat 2 cups of berries every day. So I'm having trouble like figuring out. I can put berries, I know, in an S meal or an E meal, depending on what I mix it with. But I guess figuring that out, carb wise for an E meal, obviously it's just easier for me to mix it up with some heavy cream and some gentle sweet and some almond milk and enjoy a really nice shake. But if I want to make that into an E meal, like, obviously almond milk is an E. So I guess I could still make a shake, or would it be better just to eat it raw? The berries.
So almond milk is actually going to be a fuel pull. So it's not going to really, add any more. Like it's like I don't want to call it a free food because you can abuse anything, right? But almond milk is a fuel pull. And so that can be a base for your shake. And then as far as the berries go, if I needed to have 2 cups of berries, I would either split up 1 cup at a time. Like, because once you get to 1 cup, that is your fuel for an E meal. So now all you need to do is add some protein to that. And if you want to do veggies, you can.
Now, do you use the okra in yours too?
I do use okra in my shakes, but when I have okra in my shake, it's usually a chocolate based shake. Like it's usually like going to be a mocha something or a chocolate something. Haven't done okra with the fruity very much. I've done it with like just a straight vanilla shake, and it just kind of does this thing how okra does. Like it's not overly like you can't taste it.
Right.
So that's good.
I made it for my kids the other day, and with okra and strawberries, and I used the chocolate lean vegan from Plexus, and because it's my naturopath approved, and my kids think it's the best thing ever. They thought it tasted like a Wendy's Frosty. Oh,
nice. So there's
really
also
good.
A recipe in the books, like if people love Wendy's Frosties, the Frisky is like pretty close to a Wendy's Frosty as well. And just like as a disclosure, and I'll make sure I put this in notes, like we are not doctors. We are not giving medical advice. We're just having a conversation about the lifestyle that we follow. And so if you're having any kind of issues, or even if you do have cancer, you need to talk to your doctor or your naturopath. So just want to throw that out there because I don't want anybody to think that we're giving medical advice. I want to ask you, before I name off some foods that are safe in an email, what do you think are e-foods?
Okay, so carbs, obviously. So like healthy bread, sweet potatoes, some fruit.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, honestly, like other than like healthy breads, maybe chips like that are approved, like THM approved chips.
Okay.
But that's about all I know.
Okay, that's awesome. No, I think that's awesome because now I get to tell you how many more things that you can have that are okay on plan. So rice, that's like my go-to. And when you say healthy bread, of course, like sprouted, soaked breads are okay on plan. But rice, brown rice, black rice, quinoa they call it a grain, but it's really truly more of a seed. It's like a pseudo grain. It's not quite a grain. And white rice has been recently okayed in moderation on plan, kind of like one of those things like what happened with the white potatoes, kind of like have it if you're interested, but watch how you do with it. Don't go overboard. Keep it in moderation. Potatoes, like you said, so sweet potatoes, but also purple potatoes, golden potatoes, and pretty much any potato is okay. And of course, the white potatoes, same thing. You just want to watch how they go with your blood sugar. Same with the white rice. And that's kind of like white rice, white potatoes, and bananas are kind of in the same family where they are still pretty close to they're real food. And so, but they really impact your blood sugar. And so it's gonna work differently for everybody in all different stages of life. If you have diabetes, you don't want to be down in whole large bananas without any kind of protein, without anything, you really want to be careful with that kind of stuff. But that doesn't mean that it should be demonized, and that doesn't mean that it's not on plan. So bananas, rice, you said some fruit, so it makes me interested to know what fruit you think isn't on plan. That came to
I was wondering about bananas are really sugary, like natural. Obviously, it's glucose, or fructose, so it's not as bad for you as like refined sugar or a sugar supplement. But I would think if bananas were high in sugar, and I wasn't quite sure what fruits were. Like I knew apples were, but
all the fruit.
Yeah.
All the fruit. All fruits are on plan. Bananas, like we said a second ago, in moderation. You don't want to overdo bananas. You want to respect them. But yeah, bananas are okay. But you have to just be careful. And always is more important to make sure you have a meal fueled with protein in your E meals. Like you can be a little more pulled back with the protein in your S meals, but you want to make sure that you're anchoring your E meals in protein.
So like how many ounces of a chicken? Like if you had chicken and a sweet potato, would you have like 6 ounces or 8 ounces of chicken?
So I think 8 ounces is a little bit much. The guideline is to have a piece that is the size of the palm of your hand. In fuel pool meals, I'm pretty sure it's like 3 to 4 ounces in a fuel pool. So I would assume that an E, you can go a little bit more in an E, because fuel pools, you just want to pull back a little bit. But palm of your hand for the any protein that is from meat. Forgot what I was saying. Sorry, that happens all the time, as you know. So I'm trying to think what else I was about to say about other carb sources. So beans and lentils are also carb sources, but you want to make sure you watch the proteins. I say this, make sure you watch the protein from your meat when you have beans and lentils, because you can overdo protein too. So everything is about balance, right? It's all about balancing out all the things. And so, but beans, lentils, those are both carb sources as well as protein sources. So you want to be careful with additional carbs when you have beans as well. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Okay, so that being said, with my diet, I'm only allowed to have 20% of animal product or byproduct. So that means meat, dairy, the whole 9 yards, which I love dairy. So it's like, and it's hard. I'm not I love meat, but that's not a huge deal. So how would I implement, how can I implement, I guess, more beans in an email or, and kind of replace that meat so that I'm not going over that 20% line that my naturopath is wanting me to stay under, and still have my protein and have a good email, or the protein and the good decimal. But I know we're talking about emails, so
yeah, that's fine. So if it's just that you want to be able to enjoy meat, I would just take whatever meat that you made, like when you make the meal for your family, because they can all have, as what they want. So when you make it for your family, go ahead and make it the same way. But when you grab yours, just kind of cut it back to a quarter or a half of what a quarter or half of that palm size, and then just watching it in other meals as well. But if you're having it with beans, you really don't need a ton of meat on top of having the beans. And so, it looks like less, but beans fill you up so much, Oh, and another carb source too is oats. Oats are a big one for a lot of people. I forget about oats because they're not my favorite. But oats are another carb source. So you would think I wrote all these down, but I didn't. I'm just kind of going down my little list and pulling them out as we go. Trying to think, but we've pretty much covered them all. So let's talk about protein. Since we're already there, let's talk about protein sources in an email. Mm-hmm. So you want to stick to lean sources of protein. So if you're going with a ground turkey or ground beef, you want that to be about 96 to 99% lean. So you want to be pretty lean. Mm-hmm. A lot of people I see have turkey bacon in their emails. And so my hope is that they're checking the packaging and making sure that it's pretty lean when you have that turkey bacon, because some of them are very fatty and they don't really come like you. They market it as, less fat than bacon, but it's only a little bit less fat than bacon. So you just got to watch that turkey bacon. Another lean source of protein, of course, chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast. And then dairy. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, because I'm limited dairy too. So we'll just tell the people who can eat all the dairy. Greek yogurt, 0% Greek yogurt has a good source of protein. Low fat cottage cheese has a good source of protein. A lot of people do like the 000 yogurts. Do you eat yogurt? I mean, I know you're supposed to be low on the dairy. What do you do for your dairy since you're low on dairy?
Okay, so my naturopath, if I have any kind of dairy, it has to be whole milk dairy, like whole milk yogurt or whole milk sour cream, whole milk cottage cheese. And so when I do dairy, I try to do no more than like 3/4 cup of yogurt, and then I like to mix it with like chia seeds, hemp hearts, a cup of berries. If I want ice cream, then I like to, because I'm a big ice cream eater and I haven't been able to have ice cream, I like to mix it with like frozen berries and like 3/4 cup of yogurt. You can still do the chia seeds and the hemp hearts in a little bit of gentle sweet, and then just blend it up in the Vitamix, and it's like really creamy ice cream. Sometimes I'll put like a half a banana, like a frozen banana in there, because the banana then you don't even have to put gentle sweet in it, and it makes it like it's ice cream to me. Mm-hmm. So, and sometimes if I want it like the chocolate taste, I'll put some of the chocolate protein powder in there. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I will say there needs to be, I mean, the yogurt is pretty decent, but when you do the banana, definitely even add some of the plain protein powder or collagen, something to bump that protein level up a little bit when you add the banana, because you're going to get some from the yogurt, but I'm not sure it's quite enough to support a banana and berries, but it could be. We can talk about that another time. But that's just, I mean, it's a crossover, but ice cream is going to be a crossover almost always anyway. And that's a good, like, I'm more in support of ice cream that's a crossover on plan than ice cream that's not on plan. So I think that's a really good choice, actually. I think that's a really good choice because milk and full fat yogurt, they're on plan. A lot of people think that they're not on plan, but they are on plan. They're just automatically a crossover because they have carbs and fats. And so yeah, I'm hoping I'm not, egg whites. So of course, egg whites are also a good source of protein in meals. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. If I am, I'm sure we will find out the hard way. We will hear about it if I do. So a couple things that I wanted to mention, and I said that I wasn't going to go through a whole list. And the reason I'm okay with not going through a whole list is because you said you put it in the app. So you have the Analyzer app, the food analyzer. Okay. I'm going to put a link to the food analyzer app. And I'm also going to put a link to the Trim Healthy Mama plan book. And anybody who has the cookbooks, like in the Trim Healthy table, if you go to page 538 in the back of the Trim Healthy table book, and I guess I'll put a link to that too. Let me add that because I wrote plan book, but I'll also put table. But if you go to page 538, there is a full recap of what constitutes an e-meal. And just before that on 536 is S-meal. And then after that is fuel pool. And it just shows all of the meals that they talk about. And I live by this thing. Like I go back through these recaps all the time. And then I do use the food analyzer app, which I will put a link to the food analyzer app in the notes. So that if you don't have that already, you can download that. So any carb sources that we did not mention, comment them here so that people will be able to see and know what other carb sources are. And if you don't know, then check your food analyzer app. What are you going to ask, Wendy?
I was just thinking, I know you were talking about crossovers, and for someone who like me, obviously I can't have a lot of dairy anyway. And so you're saying like that full fat dairy is a crossover for someone who is trying to lose weight like myself. That's definitely like probably needs to be a minimal, right? I mean, that needs to be like once a week or something that's like just not a normal everyday.
Yeah, definitely don't want to do it every day. I am a crossover supporter. And so I do believe that whether you're in weight loss mode or not, you should probably have at least one, like just one. Give yourself a crossover every week because that is going to satisfy you for one. It's going to give your cells like that full completely full feel, give you like a little nice little shock to the system. And also like you kind of feel like you got a little something bad, like you got to tiptoe in some fun land whenever you have a crossover. And it's really good mentally. And especially when you're going into the next week, you already had a crossover. And so you're a little bit less likely to indulge in more crossovers and more off. Like give yourself permission to have one, enjoy it, make it a good one. I would, if I was in your shoes where I couldn't do I want to say couldn't, but it was recommended not to do the lower fat options. And I was told, go ahead and do the full on ones. I would enjoy those probably a couple of times. Like when you're really craving something creamy or something ice cream, I would reserve those for those times. And I would find other lean or I would find other sources of protein for my meals throughout the week. But when I'm just like, it's been a rough week and I really want some ice cream, Friday nights for me. On Friday night, when I just really want something, I would reserve that for those times because for you, I would give myself 2 crossovers for sure, because you already have so many things that you are staying away from. Like you don't want to lose that joy, right? Like focus on the things you can have and give yourself permission to go ahead and have, have something every once in a while. I think it's fine. But yeah, I'm always like 1 crossover a week, like plan it, make it something good. I love it when people do pizza as their crossover, because pizza is like one of my favorite foods. It might be my favorite food. And when people like actually make dough, I'm so jealous sometimes because I'm not going to make dough, but like they make their own pizza and it's just like, oh man, that's amazing. Like I love that. Just have like, I think so many people are struggling to have fun on Trim Healthy Mama, because we love our little diet box, right? Like we want to have the rules, and we want to and it can be frustrating, because when we're coming from the diet, like the food culture that we're coming from, and we've been on diets and things, it's really awkward for somebody not to tell us what we're supposed to do. And so that does make it harder, and it makes it where you have to put in some work. But being on this side of things, like it's kind of awesome to have put that work in. And like you can't, I mean, I can say, oh, thank goodness for Trim Healthy Mama. It was awesome. Yes, Trim Healthy Mama is awesome. But I did the work. There was nothing. They didn't mail me meals. They didn't tell me every single thing that I could put in my mouth. I had to find that out myself. Like I had to put in that work. And so I think it's something to like on the other side, like when you've put in that work, you did go through that very hard learning curve, right? Like it's such a steep learning curve. But when you come on the other side of it and you've like figured out certain things, it's just really nice to have that and have that in your back pocket for, rough seasons or when you're having to heal your body. It's just really good. So
I've eaten healthy, pretty healthy, probably healthier than most, definitely healthier than most people in the past year because of my diagnosis. However, it's really, my weight loss has been stalled, and she said it was because my adrenals are fatigued. So I've been doing singing canary. Is there anything else that I can do that can get the adrenals going?
Carbs. Carbs are so good for your adrenals. So I would say, depending on what carbs you choose, like those 2 cups of berries, if you're not getting those in, go ahead and get those in. And for me, I would have those 2 cups of berries, and then I would have them at one meal, or 1.5 cups at one of my meals. And then I would save a half a cup of them for an S meal. And then I would have another E meal that had another carb source. So I think for me, if I were you, if it was my body, and I'm not giving you a medical advice, but if it was my body, I would start really paying attention to beans and lentils. Because because that's going to kick out dairy for you. It's going to kick out meat for you. And it's going to, you're going to have a good amount of protein and carbs. So beans is what I would say. Now, one thing that's kind of rough is this summer. I don't know how hot it is where you are, and we're getting close to 30 minutes. So hopefully people are really enjoying this conversation, and we'll start wrapping it up. But I don't know how hot it is, but soups are so good for beans. And then also just being able to get in that little bit of source of meat where you're not overdoing it, it's swimming around in there with the rest of the veggies and the beans and stuff. And so you can add a little bit of meat without going overboard, and you can always just throw any hot meal, you can throw spinach in there, and spinach just it's just all right, I'll do whatever, it is so flexible. It's the easiest veggie to throw in stuff. The only thing I'm not crazy about spinach in is scrambled eggs. Not crazy about spinach in my eggs, but otherwise I'm throw a handful of spinach in there or chop it up and put it into you can just put it in anything. And so if I were you, sorry, you like what?
I like spinach in my shakes, and I make it in my quiche. So with eggs, but it's
no, that's different.
Oh yeah.
You can put anything in a quiche, and I will I will be okay
It's
with
so
that.
good.
I'll have spinach in my quiche. That's the only way I'm like, okay, you can do that. You can do spinach with those eggs, but like cooked in a skillet with, it's just not. I don't know what it is about it. I eat it, but it's not like, oh my gosh, I am dying to have spinach with those eggs. It's
I
not
think
my
it's
thing.
the texture. It's texture.
Yeah. And so I will also, I will send you a link to the Adrenal Poddy, and I will link the Poddy that spoke about adrenals in this note too. Adrenal Poddy. I'm making a note. Because there's some good talk about that, but definitely carbs are good for your adrenals. And I'm sorry because I wasn't expecting an adrenals question, but I love talking about adrenals, but I'm just like, I was not ready for that. But I will for sure. I read this amazing book. Yeah, that's a whole, it really is. And I read this amazing book, and I will tell you one thing that's really big for adrenals, and it's not even just what you eat, it is stress management. It is so huge to manage your stress as far as your adrenals are concerned, because they are taxed. Stress management, gut health, and carbs. That's what I would say as far as adrenals go. Huge, but stress management. I read a really good book called Adrenal Thyroid Revolution. And the author is, I got my notes over here somewhere. I cannot remember her name. Aviva Ram. I remembered it while I was looking, but her name's Aviva Ram. And a lot of what she teaches lines up with Trim Healthy Mama, except the fuels are not really being separated. But some of, like, she does like kind of like this elimination diet, and I do go through that with some of my one-on-one clients because it's just really awesome and it lines up with the plan. It's just one of those things where it's like, okay, you can go this next level to support healing. But yeah, Adrenal Thyroid Revolution, it is so good. It is so good. You'll just be like, like all the time, just like, that's me. That is me. I'm overwhelmed. I am exhausted. Like my adrenals are being taxed. Like you will love it. It's a really good book. So yeah. Okay. Do you feel like you have any other questions?
I don't think so. I'm sure.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Well, if you do, Vox me. But I really appreciate you helping me with this. It's so much easier to talk about Trim Healthy Mama when it's to another person. Like,
and you answered so many of my questions. So thank you so much.
That makes me so happy. I was like sitting and I was like, I would really love to be talking to somebody else. Like, I don't want to talk to myself. Like, I'm supposed to do a recording on Tuesday and it's late in the day and I haven't done it and I just don't want to do it myself. So thank you so much for being available. I really appreciate it. I really do. Thank you. All right. Well, I only went over by 4 minutes. My goal is a 20 to 30 minute show and I only went over by 4 minutes. And so that's really good. Well, thank you. And I will talk to you throughout the week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Canada.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Bye.
All right. Thank y'all so much for watching. I'm so grateful to Wendy for jumping on here. It's been exciting. If you had questions that were not answered here, please let me know in the comments and I will answer them either in another show or I'll just reply real quick and answer your question. I'll have all those links down here and just as always, glory to God.